So a lot of times I use the ocean metaphor, ocean wave metaphor, to talk about and point to the inseparability of phenomena, phenomena that seem to be autonomous and separate and have a kind of independent existence, which just like the waves that we're seeing here. And it's such a just remarkable paradox that you can look at the same reality, in this case, the reality of the sea, the ocean, and see it as just like those visual illusions, where you look and you see from the same image can look like a young woman or an old woman, or there's another one with what looks like a vase, and then from another perspective, it looks like two faces, profiles, one image that looks two ways. And this is one image, we could say one vision that can look like, it does look like what we call waves, but actually the waves are the sea. There's one thing there. There's no separate waves with autonomous existence. So it's a very, very powerful visual metaphor to help highlight, you could say, one of our fundamental misunderstandings or misperceptions that there's actually separate things. But I want to talk about something else now related, using this metaphor, explore something or just point to something with you. And you can follow along this kind of guided exploration with your eyes open or closed. It doesn't matter really. You can play around doing both. But basically, the power of our mental interpretations of things, the way we hold things conceptually and with words, talk about experience and describe experience and imagine those descriptions to be essentially true renderings of what's going on here. That the belief that our interpretations actually capture reality really rest upon the what turns out to be a fantasy, and that is the fantasy that reality is actually holding still long enough to describe, that this moment that you're experiencing right now, and every aspect of it, no matter how you might describe that aspect, thoughts, feelings, sensations, all of it, any aspect that is appearing right now in your experience, that's being felt, being sensed, being perceived, has no stability. Just like what you're looking at here, if your eyes are open and looking at this video. I mean, even calling it a video is not accurate. Something's being perceived. Or you could say many apparent things are being perceived right now. And here's the question as it relates to cutting through this misperception of describability, and that is, if we believe that the moment can be described, that you can actually know what the moment is, that you can actually put your finger on it and say, there it is, that's what's happening, right? Which we really truly believe that this is the case as humans for the most part. That belief that this moment, that I can point to this moment and tell you what it is, rests upon the fantasy that there's something there that I can actually pinpoint and describe. But what's here is the shape of this moment, just like the shape of the sea, is not holding still. Feel that, or see that, or touch that right now. You are seeing that fact of that movement. The fact that the shape of this moment, like the shape of the sea, what is not one thing, is it? What is the shape of the sea? What is the shape of anything? We can say some experience arises right now. Experience is arising. The moment is arising in all its apparent complexity and diversity. What is the shape of the moment as a whole? What is the shape of any seeming part of the moment or aspect of the moment? A flicker of thought or feeling or sensation, sound of my voice. What is the shape of this moment? It has no shape. We could say that the closest thing I guess we could say is that it seems to be shaping, but it's not a shape that's fixed. Anywhere we look, we see this. This is one image of a sea and the movement of that sea and the fact that the shape of the sea cannot be determined because it's not like this. If I stop it, we could say, ah, there's the shape of the sea, right? But that's not what's happening, is it? This is what's happening. So it's like something arises experientially and we go, oh, that's a. Then we've named it, we've described it, seemingly. We've captured the shape of the moment in our descriptive framework, our concept, our. This is what's happening. And then we may have a whole conversation with someone about the shape of the moment and a conversation with ourselves, which we do. But meanwhile, what we're talking about is has gone on to the next shape. Feel the way in which this is a shapeshifter. And whatever it is that's perceiving all of this shape-shifting is itself shape-shifting. In other words, there's no aspect that can be found experientially that's not seemingly on the move. So the transiency of what we call the moment is such that it can't be found at all, actually. We're not quick enough. It's impossible to grab hold of the moment. There it is. It's already slipped away. So every notion, every with a capital E, every notion that we have, however suggestive it may be of what's going on, however it may be seeming to capture something of what's here, the flavor of what's here, the sense of what's here, it is just simply not possible to capture what's here in any of our frames of reference whatsoever. And this dynamism, this ever-shifting, shape-shifting presence is staring us in the face 24/7. I mean, it's exactly what if we're experiencing anything, this is what we're experiencing, is something that is not here as something definitive. It's not at all, this is not at all a philosophical argument. It's an experiential one. We never experience what was. And our labels are always of what was, not what's here. The labels are not quick enough to capture what's here. Nothing is quick enough to capture what's here. There is no capturing of what's here. It's gone. But it's very paradoxical because there's a feeling of presence. There's a feeling of something here, isn't there? That never goes away. The feeling of what's here, the felt sense, the sheer fact of this. It's relentless, the presence. I mean, I was just saying a moment ago that you can't find what's here because the shape, like the ocean that we're looking at, is not holding still, so you can't capture it. So in that sense, it's not findable as something fixed with a fixed shape and form and describable. In that sense, it's wholly unfindable, ungraspable, and yet always here, always here. Why this is so powerful to see the way in which all of our narratives about this are incorrect because of this dynamism is that to see that is to feel the freedom from all of the narratives and their seeming implications. I'm a human stuck in my life somehow, or struggling with my life, or dealing with X, Y, or Z. It's like, that's not actually what we're experiencing. We're experiencing something that has no description whatsoever. The stories about what's happening, the narratives about what's happening, including how messed up my life is, how confusing my life is, how much suffering is in my life, how I'm missing something, how I'm not getting all this stuff that is being talked about right now, possibly. Um, None of those descriptions hold up. There's something here that's palpable, at the same time indescribable, owing to its dynamism. The apparent patterns and shapes of things that we then name actually have no shape. I mean, you look at one of the waves here. What is the shape of that wave? Just look. What is its shape? It won't. It has no shape. Changing in each less than a nanosecond, shifting, 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 and indescribable because of that. But that's true of what you call your thoughts. They're just like this. They're impossible to grasp hold of conceptually and name the shape of what you're thinking and feeling. This is alive, this life. And in its aliveness, it's wholly indescribable because of that aliveness. Just like the sea. Constant movement, reshaping itself. One thing constantly reshaping itself, so in a sense, not a thing at all. So on the one hand, we have all of our interpretations, the mind's interpretations of things, suggesting describability and forms that have specific shapes that can be captured and characterized. And meanwhile, what we're actually feeling is completely not that. It's completely not something with a specific form that can be encapsulated by our description. So it's very strange, right? We're what are we talking about when we talk about things? We're talking about um, it's like talking about a dream as being actual things when in fact it's all the dreaming consciousness. It's about like that. So we can experience all the things that we're experiencing, seemingly. Everything everything appearing vividly. Things appear vividly. Each thought, feeling, sensation, vivid, vivid, bright, shining, present, seemingly here, and yet mirage-like, owing to this absolute impermanence. Actually never taking concrete shape because there's no stop, there's no off switch. So let's just press stop so that we can freeze the moment and name it. There's no stop button. Life moves on in its flow, its ceaseless flow.